I know it's 5 o'clock. I got your PDF, so thank you. Related to AOK, I'm kind of not AOK. I'm gonna ask you a question, man to man. Regardless of AOK, are you aware of a dangerous situation that I'm in? Not related to AOK, related to my person.
Yeah.
That's me. Are you aware of the situation that I'm in?
I don't understand. Okay, with you.
So obviously I work for SAP, but I'm living in Munich, right? I may as well telling you now because I've had to go to the police. The police have now reported my situation. It's at criminal level. Because, as I told you, I was a very high-level banker. I think I told you that.
Yeah.
In Canada. Minding my own business, I have 2 passports, both UK and Canadian. I had horrendous treatment in the UK, barbaric. And because I had 2 passports, I flew to Canada in 2008 to start my life again. I had death threats all over the UK, really terrible racist comments because I'm from the northern part of the UK. They call it a country, it is what it is, it's Scotland. I ran from there because I'm deemed a black sheep, I'm different because I'm good at sport, whatever. I flew to Canada in 2008. They diagnosed me with trauma. I'm telling you in a health perspective. So then I got sent to this person who basically was trying to undo all the terrible things the UK had done before. So I worked, as I told you, bank after bank after bank. By the time I was 34, 35, I delivered about 3 billion. Considering the situation I come from is impressive. Then I made a naive mistake. With the Scottish referendum that came up, I'm sure I'll be honest with you, I don't even like saying that word, Scotland, referendum, anything. I posted something on Facebook in 2013. And I was working for British bankers at the time. I was getting too good too quickly. I had senior VPs of banks on my Facebook. I thought, who the hell am I for them to bother about me? A few phone calls were made because Canada is part of the Commonwealth, British Commonwealth. They tried to take me out. And I got drugged. I got sent to England. I got chased all over England. I got back to Canada. Went to Calgary. I lost everything in the floods. I went back to Toronto. I got a job at Bank of America running that $700 million project. And what they had done is up until that point, because I had no family since 14, or any family that I did have, they were trying to kill me. What a great story. You came from sleeping in buses, you're running a $700 million project. When my story fell apart, well, what's wrong with you? Is there something? It's funny how that story can flip quite easily. So because in Canada you have to have your credit, your criminal, and your references.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that journey, one of the mobility companies in Canada charged me a $7,000 bill for a phone call I made and destroyed my credit. Bank of America said, we can't have you because you're running a project that can bring down Wall Street, gotta let you go. I ended up on the street. People spitting at me, urinating. My situation got worse and worse and worse. And what they had done was, because my story had become so bad, I was completely isolated. All my friends were paid off, and my friends were my family. So they basically, there was probably about 10 or 20 people, and I know who they were, basically said, look, we've got a chance to take this guy out. This is our chance. And they went for it, and I got injected, I got tortured. And what happened was that this is how I really came to Germany. There's a German missionary found me on the street, half dead. Said, what happened to you? He's like, I've had problems because I'm German. So he gave me clothes. Then I worked for TD Bank, and then it was just non-stop. And they basically made me out to be anti-Semitic, racist, any label you could throw on him. And I mean, it got that crazy that I was in the Eaton Center, which is a major shopping mall, and I said 7 million against one person, not a fair fight, with 7 million people in Toronto. My situation got that crazy, I turned around, and a black guy I never even met before gave me the death sign. I was just public enemy number one. May sound crazy, but if enough money is on your head, that's what happens. I will cut to the chase. I got basically, I had emails from U.S. government saying we can't protect you in Canada because you're not a U.S. citizen. I had emails from Scottish National Party saying come back for political protection. I couldn't give a rat's ass about politics. They're corrupt. But they were making me out to be something in order to generate money for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they said go to Nova Scotia. I'll be honest, I went from 105 kilos down to 47. I sold my iPhone, I took 7 buses all the way to Nova Scotia. And I'll be honest with you, as crazy as it sounds, I look for the Canadian ice hockey captain Sidney Crosby because he had a second last name, and Nova Scotia means New Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
When I started to realize just how much trouble I was in, 3 people that I'd never met before in my life pinned me in the corner of McDonald's and were pretending to ejaculate on me. I went to the Church of Scotland, Reverend Bell, and he said, before you say anything, I'm English. I said, I'll be honest, I don't care. He's like, you're in a lot of trouble. I don't have a crime to my name. He said, you gotta get your ID back. I had all my ID stolen. So essentially, if they kill me, I'm gone, right? So I managed to get back to Toronto. An Austrian lady finds me in Starbucks. She's like, what happened to you? You don't look like you should be in a situation like this. I said, I shouldn't. I told her my story. She said, I've been beaten up for being Austrian. I'm like, this is just story, like it's just getting crazy. She's like, if you prove your story to me, I'll help you. So I went to her house in Kensington Market. I showed her all the emails, all the government emails. She's like, okay, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know. She said, do you want to go back to Scotland? I said, I don't know what I'm going to there. So anyway, she paid for my passport, paid for my flight ticket. And this is where I now have a bit of the problem here. Because I went back to Scotland, but I had not been there in 20 years. Literally thinking, I'll go home and I'll help. I arrived in Glasgow August 2014. I got marched military style to a hospital, Forth Valley. And I never really thought anything about it at the time, but I went in there and I'm like, I don't feel too well. And a doctor, and it was a German doctor, Michael Gotz, and this is where I think I got a problem. Because Gotz is quite a Bavarian name. I only really figured that out recently because I see it everywhere. And he basically said, you know what, your story's too unbelievable. He said, we've done some research on you, you're not Canadian, you never worked in IT, you never graduated Leeds University, we're sectioning you, and they beat the crap out of me for 6.5 weeks. And at that point, I'm like, I'm in my own country. I literally felt like Nelson Mandela. So they sent me back to Dundee, which is where I'm from, which is dangerous for me because of the psychos I was running from. And the point that I really knew how much trouble I was in is Police Scotland came in and said, "You tell anyone about what happened to you, you're a dead man." So I literally thought, I gotta get to Edinburgh and I gotta get the hell to Germany. Germany was my dream. I fought through brick walls to get here. So what happened was, on Princess Street, they hit me with a double-decker bus and left me for dead. And essentially what had happened is I was getting too good too quickly. The English, British, whatever you want to call them, great, I don't know, didn't like me for whatever, jealousy, girls I was dating, money, my life, whatever. They contacted Westminster, who contacted SNP, and I was sold for millions.
Mm.
And I just couldn't figure it out. And essentially what had happened is, if you work for the organizations that I do, it's not like you're not connected. I was very well connected. But like Obama says, if we're all connected, what happens if someone disconnects you?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just walking around like no one knew me. So it actually got to the point of Germans in Edinburgh, Spanish, French, Danish, saw what was happening, would text me and give me food. I then had emails from the German government, Swedish government, Danish government, Dutch government was the first one to reply, saying your story is literally unbelievable to the point that it really is unbelievable. But if it's true, I suggest you get the hell out of there. I'm like, how am I supposed to get out? I have no money. They're like, under Geneva Conventions, it's going to be very difficult for you. Anyway, a girl in Darmstadt and a guy in Aachen put money in my Bank of Scotland account. And bearing in mind, at this point, they're now sending me pedophile messages, and it's really sick stuff. So I arrived in Visa Airport. I went to Schweinfurt, I told them my story, and they're like, you're the first in the world to turn up with a Canadian and UK passport. And they were actually asking me to claim political asylum. I'm like, I just want my life back. I have hurt nobody. I have had no crimes to my name. You have about 20, 30 extremely high profile people who wanted me dead and are paying people off all over the world, and I can't stop it. Can I live a protected life in Germany? And it was actually a gentleman called Herr Gerlach. He said, go live your life.
Mm.
So I'm in Würzburg. And the problem that I had, and when I started to connect it, is almost every major Bavarian city is connected to a Scottish one. I looked it up.
Mm-hmm.
Würzburg is connected to Dundee. Munich is connected to Edinburgh. Augsburg is connected to Perth. These are all the cities I am running from.
Mm-hmm.
So as I have been in Munich, I've been getting death threats. And what I'm saying is this problem that I have at SAP and Sky, who were my managers, British.
Mm-hmm.
So I took these jobs. Why did I not get paid? And I'll be perfectly honest with you, is they're giving me these jobs and doing this to me in order to show me that I have no way out. I took it at face value after everything they've done to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the point is that if Michael Watts, I took him as a rogue German, he's electrocuting people in that. It's horrendous things going on. The fact that I have now been in Bavaria 7 months, and I have asked Mannheim, Aachen, Düsseldorf, Würzburg, Munich, all for social help, refused. It even actually got to the point, Syrian refugees in Würzburg, who I was in a language class with, said, they're targeting you, you're in too much trouble, we can't be around you. So what I am saying is, I am not just coming under this and blah, blah, blah. And just as an example, what I'm dealing with in Munich. I walk through the English Garden, I get death threats. Commerce Bank, and bearing in mind I worked in the banking industry, right? They're sending bank cards, credit cards out all over Germany, and I can't stop them.
Mm-hmm.
They refuse to tell me what's going on, so my ID is all over the place now. And I'll be honest with you, the problems I had with AOK, right? Now you have to remember is that all my bosses were female British.
Mm-hmm.
The doctor was female Jewish. They made me out to be, let's put it this way, if my story ever came out, politicians would lose their jobs, high-level bankers would lose their jobs, CEOs. I just want to be left alone. And the problem is, is Munich is twinned with Edinburgh. Edinburgh is essentially the one who sold me. I was living a normal life in Canada. I cannot walk around the streets of Munich without getting dirty looks. It's in my gym. It's when I walk. It's when I go to the supermarket. I've never been to Germany in my life, and the reason I came here was Germans saved my life in Canada and the UK. The problem is, any organization I go to, I'm getting, they are making it as difficult and harassing as possible, because the idea behind all this is I take myself out and then my story's gone. There's absolutely no coincidence. The job I got at Sky was done by coincidence, because both jobs, until the Scottish referendum thing, my resume was going through the roof. Should probably be VP by now. One of the youngest, best VPs in North America. I turn up to Sky. No phone, no laptop. You don't know what you're doing. This. The same at SAP. No laptop, no phone, sending out global emails, making it look like I don't know what I'm doing. And it is literally to break me, because I have been chased all over Canada, all over US, all over Mexico. I got poisoned in Ireland. They did things to me in Scotland you just don't even want to know. And the problem I have is I'm now starting to join the dots. If I am not safe in Germany, which is the powerhouse of Europe, it is. But America and UK kind of dominate here as well because of the past. I'm in big fucking trouble. And I'll be honest with you, that's the reason I went to the police. I went to one of the police stations and I told him pretty much what happened, and he took it as a joke when I first told him. There's no doubt SAP know who I am, because for them to come back with the HR and say, no, you have a British guy, bearing in mind, when was the attack in Munich? It was very recently, right? The terrorist attack or whatever it was. He's calling me a Scottish terrorist. He's calling a Persian guy Kaboom, another Egyptian guy terrorist, and he can completely get away with that, destroy all my work, and SAP denies it, and there's not a whole lot I can do. Then I have the ombudsman line, now I've gone to Commerce Bank. They're taking money, they're sending credit cards all over the place. I've literally just come from Commerce Bank to here, and I'm actually now literally stating to German organizations, specifically Bavarian ones, do I have a problem? Because people know who I am here now. There's no doubt in my mind. I am not a stupid person. And the reason I went to the police is, do I think my life is in danger? Yes, I do. I'm asking you as a man to a man, because I know exactly who's coming after me here. Do I have a problem? Did you know more about my information did you know more about me that I had previously let on before what I just told you now?
No.
Nothing at all?
No.
Because I'll be honest with you, I'm struggling, as much as I love German people, as soon as I got here, I can't get one person to tell me the truth.
Okay. No. No, also
I'm in big trouble. I am in big trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, really big trouble.
Okay. But I can say to you, I don't know from this. It's the first time I hear it. And your name or your informations by our car, they are safe.
Just to give you an example though, is if I didn't meet one doctor or certain students or certain people, I'm probably dead in Germany about 6 months ago. What I would say is, when you go to Schweinfurt and get interrogated, considering they make everyone out to be all this terrorist stuff and blah blah blah, I have been terrorized by Western countries for going on 5 years now. I have done absolutely nothing wrong. And the problem is, I have bosses like at SAP and at Sky Deutschland doing whatever they want. Because if you look at my scenario, I have a Canadian and UK passport. If I go back to those countries, I'm dead. And they will do bad things to me before killing me. And the reason they are doing this is because they want me to suffer. And it's much easier. If I come out and tell a story like that, he's crazy, we sectioned him, but it's very easy to to dismiss. I went to a police station and I told him, Versberg wouldn't even talk to me, and now I know because it's twinned with Dundee. 100% that's why. And initially he said, show me the proof. So I showed him all the government emails and everything. And he was like, oh yeah, it's Snowden. I said, you can't use that word around me, it's too dangerous. And he said, do you have knowledge or evidence that is incriminating? And I said, yes, I do. And that is my problem. And what I would say is I was just a nice guy, morals, ethics, values, wanted to love kids and everything. And the British, or British feminists, because all my bosses were women of a certain age, what's the sickest way we can go after this guy? So all my social media is blocked. Anytime I exchange numbers with anyone in Munich, I get a call a day later saying, sorry, I'm not allowed to talk to you. And those normal get sent pedophile messages. It is non-stop. Now, the reason I have told the police is SAP's behavior with what I told them is very bizarre. And if SAP, I'm not saying they are, but it's very, very bizarre how they're handling this. If I have traveled 3/4 of the way around the world to live a peaceful life, and SAP is somehow involved in this, I think it's game over for me. I really genuinely do.
And what says the police to this situation?
Well, what they basically said is, if your story was real, you'd be the first in the world. I said, there's always a first in the world for everything.
Yes.
The thing is that this has gone on since 2012-13, right? But what I would say is the harassment has almost been for 2 decades, because things were going on like in 1997. It's funny like how I escaped from psychotic family, and they're all connected to Scottish football clubs and everything. Scotland is notorious for selling its people. If you go to Edinburgh, all the dungeons and everything, the English put the best Scottish people in there, and the Scottish people torture them. Nothing has changed. It's just 2017. That German doctor, Dr. Michael Gotz, who appears to be some kind of pedophile, I don't know exactly, but some of the shit he was doing was sick, injected me in my right buttock to the point I'm paralyzed, and for 6.5 weeks tried to destroy my mind. And in World II, asylum seekers were being electrocuted. If I came out and I got all my references back, I showed them my passport, I showed them to the British and Scottish government. Do you think I got a reply? They make more pedophile comments. And that's really the shit I'm running from. If you're running from sick people of that nature, in politicians and banks, and I'm by myself, people are either scared to talk to me, don't want to know, not my problem. The issue I have is when I came to Germany, I have applied for thousands and thousands of jobs. I am one of the very best at my job. There is absolutely no doubt that guy at SAP, Mr. Gascoigne, gave me that job to destroy me. There is zero doubt. And I literally thought, get as much money as you can, because even when I was in Scotland, people were urinating on me, throwing shit in my face. Really, all it is money. Money, jobs. And I can't escape it. I mean, I'm in Germany, and I collapsed with exhaustion. Remember I went to the hospital? Do you think this is a normal scenario in Germany? Germany is probably one of the most medically advanced countries in the world, right? You would say that.
Yeah.
My experience was, I got picked up. Well, I sent an email saying I need emergency help. SAP contacted me, this woman, screaming down the phone, saying, do not tell anyone what's going on at SAP. If you send any more emails, I will not protect you. That's a little weird behavior, right? When I'm asking for an ambulance. The ambulance turned up. They're quite okay. I have a towel. I get taken to Helios Hospital. They throw me in a chair. My blood pressure was so bad, they thought I had an infection. They said, no, it must just be to stress, get out. I said, I really don't feel very well. Yeah, I know, but I think you should get out. I said, but why? And I said, where are my clothes? My clothes got stolen. They asked me to walk home in a towel. from pausing to line,
Mm.
refused to do that, gave me ripped pants, and a taxi home that refused to take me home, and I had to walk home on the S-Bahn in a kind of towel pants. Is that a normal? Right. So the thing is, what I'm up against is banking corruption, because they wanted to take me out because I was getting too good. Political corruption, because they made me out to be some political terrorist when I didn't even vote. All I did was post something on Facebook about pro-yes. I couldn't even care less if it was pro-yes. The only reason I did it was to stop the English racial abuse. That was it. And in order to generate money for Scotland, they made me out to be this God knows whatever. And I couldn't figure out what had happened until I got back to Scotland, and they were like, oh, this guy thinks he's William Wallace, section him, injected, beating me non-stop for 2 years. And until I was bleeding, I got here. My problem is, and I'm kind of terrified at this point, Caritas won't help me. No social worker will talk to me. No city government will talk to me or give me right advice. I have been told if I run out of money, I will not be given food, water, or shelter. I receive death threats on every other day. I have gone on the S-Bahn and people punching me I don't even know. And it's actually got to the point of my lawyer. This is where I really started to get concerned, and when I went to the police. My lawyer, who is Arbeitszeithelfen. So when that situation at Sky Deutschland happened, I'm like, I need help. And everyone's turning their back. And there are Scottish pedophiles, I'm telling you, all over Munich. There's no doubt. I know them, I've seen them. I don't even know why you twin with them. But my lawyer attacked me because I went in there and I'm desperate for money, right? I am literally, the thing is, if I got my head above water and I now get a job like yours and I stabilize, I get a girlfriend, I get an apartment, and my story legitimately comes out, it would shock the world. I'm telling you, it would shock. You think Snowden's story is bad? And the whole point is they're getting away with this in full view of everyone's face. I went to my lawyer, Christian, whatever his name is, in Schwabing. He's like, yeah, Sky Deutschland has given some money. I said, okay. I said, at no point have you told me how much you're charging me. He's like, yeah, the German government said they're not going to help you with funding. I said, but I have no money. How am I supposed to pay you? Well, I'm not telling you. I said, to be honest with you, you've not told me anything straight from the start. I said, can you please show me in my file where it says I'm not eligible for German government legal help? No. I said, when are you going to tell me how much you're charging me? Maybe sometime. And at that point, he's like, get the fuck out of my office. I'm like, this is outrageous. I said, please give me my file. I walked to reception, and he physically threw me out of his office. I then called the police. The police turned up. You've not been assaulted. I said, yes, I have. And they were refusing to help me. And one of the officers actually said, you're not German. I said, yes, I know. He said, that lawyer is German, and if you had retaliated, I would have thrown you in jail. I said, but he attacked me. Yes, but that is his house, it's his bureau. If he wants to attack you and throw you out, and you defended yourself, I would throw you in jail. That has alarm bells for me all over the place. So I turned to the other officer, I'm like, this is a joke. So anyone can attack me, and I can't do nothing. And that is essentially my scenario everywhere. I'm a man with no rights because I can't go to Canadian consulate. I blatantly can't go to the UK consulate. Germany is kind of pretending they don't really know what's going on, yet blocking me everywhere, sending out credit cards all over the place. I'm not a stupid guy. You can't get to 700 million and not realize what they're doing. They're playing games in order to break my mind. I give up, I kill myself, and then my story's gone. That is why I have been in this office every time. To be honest with you, whether you know me or not, I really don't know at this point. Too many people have lied to me. My point is at this moment in time, Without that AOK money, I'm dead.
Mhm.
It is really that serious. And I have told the police, and as I said, at first he took it as a joke. It's not even possible. Then I showed him the evidence, and then he's like, okay, this is really serious. He's like, we can't give you a bodyguard, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I just need to live. The fact that Munich is twinned with Edinburgh, is there any chance of me living in this city considering what's happened? Probably not. The thing that scares me is the way that SAP dealt with that in hybrids and basically denied everything in a city that has had a terrorist attack, and this guy is coming out with comments like that, and it's all okay. I'm considering what I've been through, and I am targeted. There is no doubt. And I'm a very sociable person. I'm well spoken, I'm well educated, and they are drilling me. And at the point, it's even Germans now, and it is all a big cover up. And it seems like your government has been contacted. The only way to coordinate something like this, and it was the same in Scotland, it's the same in Canada. To your average person, how is this possible? We live in an age of technology. The 10 or 20 people, and I know who they were, I'm not going to say who they were, you send 10 emails, which becomes 1,000. If you are at a very high level and connected, like one of my friends in Liverpool, one of my best friends in Liverpool was connected to MI5, right? Now he's pretending he doesn't know me.
Mhm.
If I am cut off, and at some point I'm going to break. So when I'm saying I'm off with stress, now you know the levels I'm dealing with.
Mhm.
And if that guy, you know what, even if he's British, I told my doctor, I said, I could be going into a problem here. I just want to do my job and be left alone. And it is just an all-out assault every day. In some kind of sick psychological way, as an example, when I first started SAP, I got a sick pedophile message. I can't tell anyone what I'm going through, but there is no doubt because in the first or second week that I got here, I got people that I've never met in my life before walking through the Greenplatz, looking at me and smirking and giving me a wink. So certain people knew I was already here. The problem is they won't leave me alone. And as I walk around, I'll be honest with you, one of the reasons I chose Bavaria is I thought Bavaria must be one of the most German places of all. And unfortunately, because of past, it's really not. It's dominated by Americans in the UK, or North Americans in the UK.